This is Pocho Salcedo, and I welcome our audience in Latin America and coast to coast here in the continental United States and Hawaii. Once again, exploring with you the DNA of regional and international news. Mohamedou Ould Slahi, welcome to the show. He joins us from Nouakchott, Mauritania.
My dear friend, Pocho, thank you. And I'm saluting your audience. And I'm so happy to be part of this program.
Mohamedou Ould Slahi was born in Rosso, Mauritania, the ninth of 12 children of a camel herder. His family moved to the capital of Nouakchott when he was a child, where he excelled in school and earned a scholarship to study electrical engineering at Gerhard Mercator University in Duisburg, Germany. In 2001, he was living and working in his home country of Mauritania when he was detained and renditioned to Jordan, beginning an ordeal that he would chronicle in his internationally best-selling Guantánamo Diary. The manuscript, which he wrote in his isolation cell in the detention camp at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, remained classified for almost 8 years and was finally declassified, with substantial redactions, in 2013. It was first published in the United States and United Kingdom in January 2015 and has since been published in 25 languages. After 15 years of detention, Mohamedou was released on October 17, 2016, to Mauritania. The following year he published a restored edition of Guantánamo Diary, filling in the U.S. government's redactions, and in 2021, his first novel, The Actual True Story of Ahmed Zarga, is being published by Ohio University Press.
Mohamedou Ould Slahi, not only that you are a name that is recognized by everyone, we had the privilege to interview after you release. It was indeed the first interview you did for the Spanish-speaking audience. That was in August of 2017. After being detained in clandestine sites, you were told that you will be transported to Guantanamo. What were your expectations then, and what did that experience turn out to be?
So I remember this vividly. I was first transferred to a dark prison in Jordan. This was before Guantanamo Bay existed. And I didn't know day or night. And I lost the count of days and nights. And I remember when they took me out of my cell and they told me I was going to be released. And I was so happy and I was crying and I was afraid. I don't know why I was afraid. And then they gave me my belonging. And then I start to sign the paperwork with my hand shaking. And I saw the date. But the date I saw on the paper, I think it was July 20th, 2002, was not the date in my head. So I knew that my head was in a different world. They took me to Guantanamo, to Bagram, CIA plane. And they start asking me what languages I spoke. My English was really non-existent. I told them that I spoke German, among others. And then they were laughing, because that's not an everyday language, that people speak. And then they brought me an agent, special agent from the CIA who spoke German, and he spoke with me. And we kind of bonded over the language. And he's the one who told me that I was going to transfer to Guantanamo Bay. I said, what is Guantanamo Bay? I don't know. I wasn't privy to the news. I don't know anything about the world. I don't know about the war. I don't know that another country was destroyed, it was taken over. And he told me it's controlled by the US. I watch shows like Married with Children, comedy, good. And I watch Law and Order. America is a place where people get to go to court and they get to have a chance. And I was happy actually that they told me I was going to Guantanamo Bay, because now I said this was all a big mistake. They will find it out and they will send me home.
You were catapulted to the public scene in a significant way. How was your personal life changed since that time? What are your priorities now, and what is in your busy agenda these days?
Pocho, you are just like me, a spiritual person. And I assume that most of your audience are believers and spiritual people. They believe in something bigger than this life. When the CIA plane took me from Jordan, they cut my clothes open with scissors, and they stripped me naked, and they put me in diapers. I know a new beginning for me. In my heart, I was thinking, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to an American prison. And no, Arab, Muslim, African, no value whatsoever in the US. And I was going to be put in a prison, just like so many dark skins, and I will die. My life, in a split of a second, ran through my head. And I didn't regret not having money. I didn't regret not marrying this hot girl. I didn't regret I didn't have this big car. I didn't regret I didn't have. I regretted one and only one thing. Any bad comment or any bad thing I said to the people I love, to the people I care about. And then, Pocho, I took it upon myself. Never again, if God give me my life back, I will always be a nice person. I would never say bad things to anyone. I would never hurt anyone's feeling, let alone physically. And that's it. That was a change. That was like my revelation, that we need to be good. Because when I die, nothing matters except the good thing that you did to people. That's what matters. Your banking account is staying behind you, and she may marry someone else. Your kids are going to have another life. They will have fun, they will forget about you. But the good things that you did, that's what will remain.
Mohamedou, after being cleared in Guantanamo as the outcome of a hard-fought legal battle, you were scheduled for release, but it took 7 years for that to happen finally. This was under the Obama's administration. Now you have written a letter to President Joe Biden, then Obama's VP, to close Guantanamo. Tell us what your arguments were when you wrote to Biden and what you said in your letter.
I think, honestly, that he's a good guy. You know, we know politics, we know like the constraints of politicians and the bigger picture and everything, but I do believe that he's a good guy. Joe Biden, Mr. President Joe Biden, lost his wife at a very young age. Joe Biden buried his son. I can't even imagine that kind of pain, of suffering when you bury your own son. I have my son, Ahmed. And this, I cannot even think about that, because this is like something that I cannot get my head around. And unfortunately, Pocho, when they go through hard time, when they go through pain and suffering. All great men in history suffered a lot. That's why they have these good qualities in them. And he said already that he is closing Guantanamo Bay, and I believe he will. Because Guantanamo Bay says much more about those incarcerated in Guantanamo Bay, much more about those who did the incarceration than those who are incarcerated. Because Guantanamo Bay is complete contempt to the rule of law, complete contempt to the basis on which the United States of America was founded. It was founded on the rule of law. They said, we don't want the king to decide who is guilty. In Guantanamo Bay, the king decides who is guilty, single-handedly. And ironically, that's exactly the reason why the United States fought against them. Today, with the very American definition of so-called terrorism, the founding fathers of the United States of America are terrorists with the definition of the United States, because they overthrow the government using violence. They were right, because they want justice. The king would not provide them justice. And Guantanamo Bay is a disrespect to decent people like you, Pocho, decent American who defended me, and decent American who just want the same thing as I want. They want peace in the world, etc., etc.
There's one part that I always think about your when I read about your story, when I read your book. There's a moment that you decide to end the cat and mouse game of interrogation, and you said, I think I quote correctly, if they are buying, I am selling. How did you get to that conclusion, and what were the results of that decision?
Pocho, Lieutenant Richard Zuli is a retired police officer from Chicago. And it turned out he had a very bad track record of torturing Americans and putting them in confessions, at times 20 years. Those are recorded cases, of people he put in prison for 20 years who were completely innocent. He, for some reason, the US government saw him as the best guy to be in charge of my case in Guantanamo. He came to me one day and he told me, he gave me a letter. He said, your mother is going to be kidnapped and put in prison with only men, no other people. And she will be there until you confess to your crimes. He said something in this, it's not so many, but last time I saw my mother, when the police came to my house and arrested me with no warrant. There is no arrest warrant like you have in the US. There are only orders coming from the US, arrest this person, they arrest him. And I don't know how many people from South America listen to us, but I read history, a lot about the history of those dictators who were propped by none than the United States of America, and who did the same thing, disappeared people and tortured them. And the last thing I saw from my mom was in the rear view mirror when she was praying, until she disappeared. At that moment, I knew nothing to lose. And I was ready to confess to everything and anything. And it's not like I was like in a good spirit. And 70 days before that, no sleep, sexual assault, beating. I was beaten until my ribs broke. I almost died because I couldn't breathe. And I'm talking to you, Pocho, and I think I'm lucky because Mohammed Gul could not talk to because he died in the cold room. Dawali, Dali War, he died in prison because of beating. You know, not tell you his story. Because when you open this evil that is torture, you cannot control it anymore. And we know that you will not get any good information because when you hurt me, I will tell you what you want to hear. That's obvious.
Extraordinary, really extraordinary. Thank you very much. We will go to a short break. We'll be right back from Nouakchott, Mauritania. We have a very, very special guest today in the program. And we are back with Mohamedou Ould Slahi, all the way from Mauritania. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. I'm going to start right away by asking you to elaborate on something that you said some time ago. You said that in your perception, we are not all equal before the law. Please expand that a little bit.
So let me tell you something that is a fact to this day. When the United States of America was attacked viciously and wrongfully, by those criminals who killed people, innocent people on 9/11, they didn't differentiate between Muslim, Christian, Jews, Buddhists. They killed everyone. Everyone. There is no family, who was not somehow, victimized. The United States of America, out of anger, they said they will take those responsible and punish them. And they will take from everywhere in the world. And they divided people in two categories. They said American people will enjoy the rule of law. Non-American have no rights to the rule of law. And this is, my friend, the definition of fascism. Because fascism said that human beings are not equal, but certain nationalities are better than others. And this is not good news for that nationality that was chosen, because the dictatorship will go back and oppress those people too. After 9/11, Americans saw me, as a guilty person because of my face, because of my background, of my accent. I'm a bad guy, like this, They could not see my soul. They could not see my goodness. They could not see that I'm a good guy. I never did anything to anyone. And I remember this chilling comment that First Sergeant Shelley told me. He told me, in an American court, you have no chance. Look how you look. Look how you speak. Look what you wear. And the most chilling thing that he was right. I have no chance. Now in the United States of America, almost 20%, 100% of so-called terror suspects are convicted in the US. There is no chance. And the only person who believes that you're innocent until proven guilty is your mother. No one else believes that.
What lessons are we to learn as people from both sides of this equation so this doesn't happen in the future? There are lessons for this side and there are lessons for this other side. What are those lessons?
So let me start with my side. The biggest offenders who participated in this injustice is my government. My government, not your government, my government. Because they are the one who broke the law, broke the constitution, and turned over their own citizens when their job was to protect the citizens. The biggest lesson is that we need democracy. We need the rule of law. We need dignity. This exception that Africa, Middle East, Latin America are not deserving of democracy and human rights must stop. And we need to enjoy the same right as you, Pocho, enjoys in the US. As people from Denmark enjoy, as people from Germany and people from Norway, we need the same, exact same rights like you. The other thing, from the other side, we need to communicate. We need to talk to each other. It's not, like this, like a world divided. Rich people are in what you call it, in a fortress. They don't want anyone to disturb their life. What they call gated communities, a community who live in a prison. That's a prison. That should not be. We should be free, and we should be always everywhere, travel everywhere, meet each other everywhere. You are welcome to my country to share with us your beautiful ideas. And I want to be welcome in your country to share with you your ideas. And I promise you, if you eat my food, if you eat the food from the Middle East, from Palestinian, from African, you will love us. And if we come to you, you will know that we are not angry people. We are not angry. We just loud sometimes.
One of the most powerful messages I heard from you in the last 15 years, I guess, of your experience is the first public video you recorded. And this was a video on forgiveness right after you were released. Do you remember that? You forgave your captors and torturers and asked the American citizens to continue their pressure until those unjustly detained in Guantanamo were freed.
And I forgive.
Tell us about then and tell us about now. That was a very powerful message you gave right after you release.
Pocho, I'm literally preaching to the choir here. I'm not going to teach you about the values of forgiveness. We have in Quran a verse that says, if you forgive, you are closer to God. And you have similar thing in the good book. And this is there is this Canadian girl. She's from Lebanese descent, and I wish I said what she said, but I didn't say it. She said, I don't forgive you because you ask for forgiveness, or because you deserve forgiveness, but I forgive you because I need to be free. Because when you forgive someone, first you do the right thing because that's a religious duty, and second, you take them out of your mind and you set them free in the wild.
At one point, you decided that you wanted to have the entire world to learn what happened to you and what happened then and now to all those in Guantanamo. What is the message that you want us to hear loud and clear?
All human beings are equal. We are all brothers and sisters. It breaks my heart to see that people, because of their color or of their religion, are oppressed. This cannot happen in our time. We need to understand each other. We need to spend money on peace, on food for the whole world, because we have food to feed everyone. But we chose to buy weapons and to kill each other. And I'm saying this in my part of the world first and foremost. We need to have peace. And we need to have freedom and democracy everywhere, and the human rights everywhere for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're from Africa or you're from the Middle East, North America, South America.
The Mauritanian is a great film. You participated in the design of the sets. They accurately represent the Guantanamo prison. However, the last time I heard, you had not watched the entire movie yet. Have you done so?
I couldn't watch the scene, the torture scene, because I suffer greatly from PTSD. And there are triggers that bring back the same. And then it put me in, I think, called catatonic states. And I cannot move anymore. I get like disabled.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the program. This is certainly a challenge to all of us and to the audience, whether you agree with what Mohamedou Ould Slahi has said or you don't. Certainly, it's food for thought. It's a challenge to things that we sometimes don't think about. But here is a specific example that offers to all of us the opportunity to rethink, the opportunity to look at things perhaps differently. We thank you. It's been really, really a pleasure to have you on the show, and hope to have you back again in the near future. We wish you well. We wish that all those things that you planned and those ideas that you have of spreading a message of forgiveness and equality before the law will be widespread. That is a positive message that all of us need, wherever country we are, in whatever condition we find ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother.